Mm.
There's one more area that I will list that's a little different than the other four, and that is it's more of a new paradigm or a perspective
Mm.
that's described as universal design. And the
Wow.
purpose of universal design is to have whatever environment the
Mm.
user is entering to be adaptable to them, so that instead of, or maybe in addition to, uh, assistive technology and accommodations, universal design,
Mm.
as an example, would have a professor design his curriculum so
Wow.
that it was suitable and easily accessible to the average student, as well as students that had a learning disability or an attentional disorder.
Wow. That's amazing, really. I love your long, well, deep, in-depth, explanation into the topic, into this topic. And to me, I wanted you to go on and on and on and on and on because it sounds to be quite compelling, very amazing, quite great. And I can feel the tone of you being passionate about what you write about.
Yes,
It,
thank you.
yeah, it's very evident from your answers so far.
Thank you. I'm glad that it shows,
Yeah, it shows. Big time.
particularly for those, either for those that I want to help or for those that may need some convincing to
Yeah.
work with these students that learn
Mm,
differently. I just want to add one thing about students who learn differently,
mm,
and that is that often these students find themselves between the proverbial rock and a hard place. And by that, I mean that although students do not have to provide instructors or professors on the college level with the nature of their disability,
mm,
of course, the professors do have to know if the students are having an accommodation,
mm,
such as more time for testing or testing in a distraction reduced room. So,
mm.
as you can imagine, it's difficult enough for a student to speak to a professor, an authority figure.
Yeah.
But if this student has special needs, the professor, unfortunately, may believe that because they have special needs, they do not belong in a college classroom,
Mm,
which is not true. Or conversely, the professor may feel that the student is so bright, having dealt with this particular individual before,
yeah.
that they don't need accommodations, which is also untrue.
Mm. Oh, wow.
So it can be a very heavy lift, Peter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I love your take on this. Sounds to me to be quite amazing and very great. Thank you so much for sharing.
sure.
I'd also like to ask you, what are invisible disabilities and what are individuals and societal ramification of them? I'll say that again. What are invincible, the things that we cannot see, invincible disabilities, and what are
Mm-hmm.
individuals and societal ramification of them? I would like to hear your take on that particularly.
Sure. Invisible disabilities
Yeah.
are those disabilities that are not immediately visible. And I will give you a contrast to make it clearer.
Yeah.
Those that have motoric disabilities, often we will see in a wheelchair
Mm,
or other device to help them with their mobility. Individuals who have sensory mobilities,
mm,
such as blindness or deafness, will also have assistive devices that
mm,
are immediately apparent. But those of us that have invisible disabilities are not immediately seen as disabled, which has its benefits and its disadvantages.
mm,
And these individuals, like myself, um, are only their disability is only noticed when they are asked to do a task
mm,
that would be very difficult for them to accomplish without some kind of accommodation.
Mm.
And so someone that we might have seen was, I'll just again give you an example, brilliant in physics might have difficulty with with speaking or with writing on a third grade level. So you would be very surprised to find that that person who is so brilliant in a complex subject is struggling with something presumably as simple as
Mm.
writing.
Wow.
And so, as you can imagine, if you are brilliant in physics
Mm.
and you are just in the very beginning grades of reading, how do you form how do you form a self concept of yourself? How can you put those two things together? Very often we see ourselves globally. And by that I mean you either come up with a self description that I am smart, I am accomplished, or I am stupid. It's very hard to put together I am smart and I am stupid.
Mm.
We all have strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
but for most of us, they're not so far apart on the spectrum.
Mm.
Um, and so people that have these invisible learning disabilities find
Yeah.
that it affects their self esteem and their social interactions.
Mm. Oh, wow. This is very amazing. I love your answers to these questions. And again, I
Thank
want to
you.
make sure that it is very educative. I mean, I've
Mm-hmm.
been able to learn many things about disabilities, about how all of these things functions and work. And I find it to be quite pulling, very educative and well instructive. Thank you so much for sharing, Marlene. Thank you.
Thank you for your compliments. I appreciate them. And I hope that many people will read this book and find out more about this population.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like the fact that to me, your writing kind of sort of sound as if you're more like advocating for people in this,
Mm-hmm.
advocating for people in this category. And I think it's something very good to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This population we have found. I'll just again say an aside. I have been reading recently that a large proportion of our incarcerated individuals, those that are in prison, a large proportion of them have been found or uh, will indicate that they have learning disabilities, that they have
Wow.
significant difficulties in reading.
Wow.
And even once we know that factor, we're still not doing much to
Mm.
help these people. So the prison experience, which could be helpful in some ways,
Yeah.
is not.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. And
Sure.
before we wrap up for today, is there anything that you would love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview? I'd love the viewers to know. And also, where can interested viewers get a copy of the book?
Okay, well, in terms of something that's in the book that I haven't directly shared,
Yeah.
was something I feel interesting, and that is how I came about to know that I have learning disabilities and attention disorders.
Mm.
You might assume that because I am a psychologist and in the field working with this population that I would have
Mm.
identified myself as such, but that wasn't the case. I had a friend that went on a business trip across the country, and when she was on that trip, she got a local newspaper and brought it home and gave it to me. And the reason she did so was that a reporter uh, wrote an article on that paper about herself and her own learning disabilities and her
Wow.
struggles. And for the first time, when I read that article, I saw symptoms of the learning disability that did not have to do with education. They were symptoms that, for example, an individual might have difficulty driving or
Mm.
stepping on an escalator or other kinds of activities that
Yeah.
you wouldn't come upon.
Wow.
But when I read it, I was astounded, and and it very significantly, Peter, changed my personal and my professional direction.
Mm.
I realized how important it is to get the word out, to understand about this invisible population and what their needs are and what their strengths are.
I love your take on this. This is well great, quite amazing, and well wholesome. Thank you so much. And just in case we have some viewers watching, on what platform can they get a copy of the book?
Okay, there are three areas where the book can be ordered. One
Okay.
of them is Amazon. Another is Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
and the third is Walmart.
Oh, interesting. That's great. That's great. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Marlene Kushner's books directly on Amazon, on Barnes& and Nobles, and Walmart, on our website, and also on other platform. I also left links to our social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Marlene, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. I must say it's more than awesome. Very great, quite educative, very instructive, and quite great having this conversation with you around your books. I've really learned a lot, to be frankly speaking. Thanks for coming
I
on.
will, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to give the those that are interested, my website is GRNK Kushner, KUSHNER.com.
That's great. I left a link to that to be in the description part. Thank you so much. This was quite great.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. Goodbye.